Today I'm going to discuss the concept of windows in rate limiting. So the thing is that this is something that we normally use when you're trying to make sure that the number of requests that we have at that particular time slot doesn't really go over and above. So an example here might be something like if you're making a request to Twitter, or if you're trying to create Gmail accounts, you might want to limit how many you can do per particular time period. So an easy way to go about that is to think about it in terms of a time window. So you'd have a situation where you'd have, assuming you have a rate limit for every 5 minutes. So you have a 5-minute window. Say the start of the period 0 to say 5 seconds, and then you have from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, and so on and so forth. And then you'd see in each particular window, you're going to have a maximum number of requests. So you come in and say, so for example, I have a maximum 5 requests there, or the maximum, say, 5 requests there. So now, what happens when request starts coming in? So if you have request 1, request 2, request 3, they're all coming in, it's all good, you're still within time. So within this period, just assume that there is a ticking clock and it's not yet at 5 minutes. So the clock continues ticking, and as long as we are below 5, we are good. The moment you get to above 5, let's say now we have 6 requests, then we start debouncing those requests. So you start debouncing the request. So this is what you want to make sure that no one gets above this. And once you get to the next time period, again you start counting, and then you make sure that again you don't get above the allowed maximum 5 requests. Now this works fairly well for some cases, but it's also open to a quick problem of vulnerability. And the problem that you're going to normally face is what happens if someone makes a lot of requests. So assuming there are no requests between this period and let's say this period, this is like 4 seconds, and then you go to the 5th second, and then you go to the 6th second. I imagine there were no requests all the way through. So up to all this point, you had 0 requests, and then maybe here you have 0 requests. However, here you have 5 requests, and here you have 5 requests. As you can see, this still fits well within the architecture of this kind of window. Well, now you have a situation where within 2 minutes, you have in effect served 10 requests. So this is really bad, right? Because as you can imagine, well, technically you're stuck to your Windows. Your servers might not be able to handle that kind of load. There is a better way to handle this. This is called sliding windows. So in this case, you don't just take into consideration what the absolute timestamp, but you in effect have a window that is going through those time periods. So now, let's assume you have requests that are coming in. So at time 0, you had a request. At time 2, you had a request. Maybe at time 3, 4, maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9, 10, and then maybe a couple of 10s and maybe 11s. And this is the timestamps that you have. Here I'm only considering the starting timestamp, not the ending, not the ending timestamp, because that tells us what we actually have at that period in time. So how this works is you set a window. Let's assume your window is 1 minute. So you'd have one that starts at point 0, and now this is what the ticking clock moves. So when you start at time 0 and it moves it out, so you move during this initial period will be 0 to 1. There's only one request that happened at time 0. So that's fine. Then you move the window again, and then you'll see it now starts at point 2. So now you have 2 and 3. Okay, now depending on what your limit is, assuming your limit is 2, so if the limit is 2 requests per minute, then you are still fine. And this will continue on until you get somewhere here. Now at this point in time, when you check the window that starts at point 9 and ends at point 10, is not going to capture all these requests. Now, by the time we get here, we say, okay, now we are above the limit. So you can neither say this was allowed, or by the time we go to the second one, we are not allowing any. So we'll start debouncing at this point in time. So if anything else came at the 10 timestamp, we'd basically debounce it and tell the user that they're now above the limit. So that's the difference between those two. And sliding windows takes care of the problem that you saw on the fixed window. Thank you.